Hi there, my name is Amanda and I'm a dietitian with the Iredell Diabetes and Wellness Department. Today I'm going to walk you through how to make a Greek quinoa salad. This Greek quinoa salad is perfect for lunch packing, summer picnics, or just as a side dish. You can even pair it with some grilled chicken or some fish, and it makes for a really easy and delicious summer recipe. I love the ingredients in this dish because they are packed full with a lot of heart-healthy nutrients. So as we go, what I really want to do is talk about some of these ingredients individually and some of their health benefits, and also some preparation techniques as well. So let's go ahead and get started. First, for the salad, we are going to start with about 4 cups of spinach or some mixed greens. I decided to go with baby spinach. It's one of my favorites. I love that dark green color. What I love about baby spinach is that it's really versatile. It has a lot of vitamin C, a lot of potassium and iron. So that's what I chose for our salad. You need about 4 good handfuls, about 4 cups of this. And I used baby spinach, but I still found that some of the leaves were a little bit big, so I just tore them up to make them a little more bite-sized and doable in the salad. So we start with that as our base, and then 1 cup of sliced cucumber. Again, I cut those into smaller, more bite-sized pieces just so they'd have better distribution throughout the salad. So we'll go ahead and add our cucumbers. And then our next ingredient is cherry tomatoes. Now, you do not have to use cherry tomatoes. If you have a garden at home and you have other tomatoes you're growing, or if you prefer grape tomatoes, or I love the heirloom tomatoes that are all those great colors, the yellows, the oranges. You can use a variety too. These are the cherry tomatoes that I purchased. And by the way, I got all of these ingredients actually at Food Lion. So they're just basic ingredients you can find in the grocery store. Some of the things that I already had on hand at home in the pantry, so you may already have those available to you at home, but all of these I did find at Food Lion. For the cherry tomatoes, you want to cut those in half. Again, get those into bite-sized pieces. I ended up quartering them, so we'll go ahead and add those. And then the next ingredient is onion. I used red onion. You need about 1/2 cup of onion. I love red onion. It's very flavorful and it's great to incorporate into salads. You can use it in omelets, slice it up for your sandwiches. I just really like the flavor that red onion offers. We'll add that. Next ingredient is artichoke hearts. If you've never used or tried artichoke hearts before, they're delicious. They're very high in fiber. When you're looking for them in the store, they are often sold in a glass jar or a can. So these were the ones that I found at Food Lion, quartered artichoke hearts. Often the ones that are in the jars may be marinated, or they might actually be in a little bit of oil. I don't love those for this type of recipe. I bought just the canned version. I did drain them. They're in kind of their own liquid there, so I just drained them, patted them dry, and then I cut the artichokes into smaller pieces. But they're nice and tender, very flavorful. And any of these ingredients, I always encourage you to try new ingredients, especially if it's something that you've never had before. But if it's an ingredient that maybe is not your favorite, you can certainly leave it out of the salad very easily. One of the things that I really like about artichokes too is that they're pretty high in fiber. Per serving, there's 4 grams of fiber in artichokes, and the typical American diet, we do not get enough fiber. We need roughly 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day, and most of us fall really short on that. So overall, this recipe could be considered a higher fiber recipe because of all the ingredients that it includes and the great sources of fiber. So, and we'll talk a little bit more too about some of the other ingredients that have fiber in them today, but artichokes are definitely one of them. Our next ingredient that we're going to use is feta cheese. So I have a half of a cup of feta cheese, and it's already been crumbled. When you buy feta cheese, you can buy full fat feta cheese or low fat feta cheese, and it comes already crumbled, or it comes in a block, and it's very soft. Feta cheese is a softer cheese, and then you would just have to crumble it on your own. So either way, I just went ahead and got the crumbled. We'll add that on top of the artichokes. And next on our ingredient list is olives. So here I have a 1/4 of a cup of pitted kalamata olives. And I actually bought them like that. I bought them in a little jar. They were already pitted. I just cut them in half so they were in more bite-sized pieces. With olives, a little bit goes a long way because they are very flavorful. They've got a little bit higher sodium content, but we're only using about 1/4 of a cup in this recipe. So overall, this is still a lower sodium recipe. So I'll go ahead and add those. And that's, again, one of those ingredients that if that is, you're not a big fan of olives, that can easily be excluded from the recipe. So we sprinkle those on top of the feta cheese. One other thing I wanted to mention about the olives is that they are one of those heart-healthy fats. So they have some unsaturated fat in them. So that's a little bit more heart-healthy than the saturated fat, which you would find saturated fat in something like butter. Next on the list is avocado. So, speaking of heart-healthy fat, let's talk about that avocado for a minute. First of all, I want to talk about how to buy an avocado. You may have seen it in the store, but you're not quite sure what you're looking for or when it's good to buy it. This is actually a perfectly ripe avocado. If you'll notice that really nice dark color to it, it's almost a deep black. When you in the store, the next time you're in the store and you see the avocados, you might see some that are really green and really hard. Those are not ripe yet. You want to wait until it's this nice dark color and it's firm but starting to have a little bit of softness to it. That's when you know it's ripe. Often I will buy them when they are green, take them home, wait a couple days, and then they'll quickly turn to this nice dark color and you know that they're ready. So even the one I have today that I'm going to slice up for our recipe, it had a little hint of greenness still in it yesterday, but by the time I looked at it this morning, it was just perfect. So I'm going to go, there is a pit inside the avocado, so I cut it in half. You can see the two halves here. I cut it in half, and then the skin, that dark skin, it actually peels right off very easily. There's a little pit inside. Scoop that out with a spoon. Be very careful. Some people will stab it with a knife. Be really careful doing that. I tend to scoop it out with a spoon, and then you can see how it's got a little bit of firmness, but it's nice and tender and slicing up very easily. All right, so we'll go ahead and I'm gonna actually add this whole avocado to this recipe. And remember, it does have the higher fat content, but it's the heart-healthy unsaturated fat. So just small amounts of this, because the calories are higher because of the fat content, but we're spreading this whole avocado out through the whole recipe, so it's evenly distributed. All right, our next ingredient on the list is quinoa. For this recipe, you will need 1 cup of cooked quinoa. And I want to just talk about quinoa for just a minute. It's something that I think a lot of people have heard about, but they're not quite sure what to look for or how to prepare it. Quinoa is actually a grain. It's a gluten-free grain. And what I love about it is it's got a great amount of protein and fiber in it. And it has all of our essential amino acids in it. And that's really important because amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And protein is really, really important as we get older. We've got to make sure we get in adequate protein each day. Well, our body can't make the essential amino acids. We have to get them from food. Well, quinoa is one of those foods that has all the amino acids built into it. So if you can include quinoa in your diet on a fairly regular basis, you're getting a lot of great protein. So this quinoa, I don't think I bought this one at Food Lion. It came from Harris Teeter. I've gotten a great one from actually Aldi's before as well. But it comes like this, and I actually cooked this last night. It was 2 cups of water to 1 cup of dry quinoa. I put it all in the saucepan together, gave it a stir, bring it to a rapid boil, and then turn the heat down to just a simmer, so it's lightly simmering. Cover it, put the lid on, and then give it about 5 to 10 minutes for some of that liquid to absorb into the grain. I just tested after about 5 minutes to see if it's the tenderness that I like it. And what I love about quinoa too is it's tender, but has still a really great texture to it, and a little bit of a nutty flavor that I really like. So you can use this, you know, there's nothing wrong with rice, but you could use it in place of rice, in place of couscous, in place of oatmeal. Very versatile. It's great to add into salads. So it really makes a big batch of it. So you can make it and then put it in a container and keep it in the refrigerator for a few days to incorporate it into other foods, recipes through the week. So our last ingredient is that quinoa, so I will go ahead and add that to the top of the avocado. And I am going to give this just a little light stir to mix up these ingredients a little bit better. Visually, this is a really just pretty recipe too. There's a lot of the deep green, the pop of red with the tomatoes, the olive, so it's just really a pretty recipe too. So it presents really nicely if you're taking it to a party or to a cookout. All right, our last step for this salad is a heart-healthy dressing. For this dressing, we're going to use oil, lemon juice, oregano, and a little bit of salt and pepper. So very simple ingredients. The recipe actually calls for 1/3 of a cup of avocado oil, but you may easily substitute olive oil. That's what I had on hand in my pantry at home. This particular one came from Aldi's. I like their Simply Nature brand that they have there. So this is what I had on hand. So I'm using olive oil. Avocado oil is also a heart-healthy oil, very similar in nutrient composition to the avocado. All right, so we have 1/3 of a cup of our oil, and to that I am going to add oregano. Now you can use a couple tablespoons of fresh oregano, which I love incorporating fresh herbs into a recipe. I'll be honest, the fresh oregano in the store wasn't looking so hot, so I had some dried oregano at home. These are just dried oregano leaves, and that's what I had in the pantry, so just a teaspoon of that is really all you need if you don't have the fresh. So I will use a teaspoon of the dried oregano leaves. We'll add that to the oil. And then the juice of 1 lemon. So right before we recorded, I had a fresh lemon. I cut it in half, squeezed the juice into this cup. And it yields about 1/4 of a cup, I would say, of the lemon juice. So we'll add that to our oil oregano mixture there. And then a little pinch of salt if that's your preference. That can easily be left out. So a little salt and some freshly ground pepper. And again, that's to your preference. So I'm just gonna add a little bit there. And then we will whisk that together. And that is our dressing. So a very just light, refreshing way to finish off this salad. So we'll just lightly drizzle that over all of those salad ingredients and let that soak. And if you want to stick that in the refrigerator just to chill it all down for a little bit, and then you have got a delicious, Mediterranean Greek quinoa salad to enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed our Greek quinoa salad. If you're interested in learning more about our diabetes or nutrition program through Iredell Health, please give us a call. We can be reached at 704-878-4556. Thank you so much.